Today I'm going to try and replace this carpet with some engineered wood. And I'm a bit terrified. I'm not a professional. I've got an office job. I don't know how to do any of this, but I'm gonna give it a go. I watched a whole lot of YouTube videos and I think I'm kind of a professional, but really I'm not. So before I start, here's a quick crash course on wooden floors. Mainly you've got two choices. You've got hard solid wood, which is what it sounds like, and then you've got something called engineered wood. So engineered wood has got a layer of plywood underneath and then a layer of actual natural wood. The difference is that hard solid wood is a little bit more prone to temperature fluctuations and moisture fluctuations, but the advantage is that it can be sanded basically as many times as you like, so you can refinish it and keep it forever, whereas engineered wood is really dependent upon what's the wear layer. So you will find some that will have 2.5 millimeters wear layer, and you will find some that have a 6 millimeters wear layer. So the 6 millimeter ones, you can be refinished 5 or 6 times, according to the internet, always. And obviously, the less real wood you have, the fewer times you can refinish. The one I've got here is 3 millimeters, so it could be refinished a couple of times. It's not really a high traffic area, so on average, the lifespan is 10 to 25 years. So I'm hoping because it's not a high traffic area, it will be more like 15 years. And then you refinish it a couple of times and you can keep it for 30, 40 years in this room. So it's a long-term thing you invest in. There's mainly 3 installation methods you can use to install engineered wood in your room. So 1, nail it down. It's usually recommended if you have real wood underneath or plywood, because the nails keep the floor quite tight, and from what I've gathered, it's usually the preferred method to do by professionals. If you got a concrete basis, then the only way you can really do it is glue down. Some people also use what's called the floating method. So you neither glue it or nail it. Essentially, it's exactly like it sounds like. It's floating on your floor. I feel like the floating method is a little bit more risky. The floors are probably going to be creaking a lot. So the choice was really gluing or nailing. What I've discovered is that I've got chipboard floors here in my room, which means I can't really nail it either because it's just gonna break the chipboard. So what I'm going to be doing is gluing it. Now, there was a bit of controversy on the internet with regards to gluing to chipboard floors. A lot of people were saying because these floors are treated with special chemicals, you can't glue anything to them. But I've done a lot more research, and actually manufacturers are saying that there is a special type of glue which can be used absolutely fine. And this is some of that glue. I'm not affiliated or anything. So this is called polymer based. I have no idea what that means, but they say it works for chipboard as well. So this is I'm using. Oh, it's pretty heavy. But before I do any of that, the key to any job is actually preparation, and that takes a lot more time than the actual job you want to be doing. So the first thing I need to do is remove this carpet and then see what's actually underneath. I might need to fix things because the sub base really needs to be level and even. I'm clear anything that's underneath. I'll make sure it's ready for the floor. I'm using my Stanley knife to cut this carpet into manageable pieces so I can dispose of them. It was actually much easier than I expected. Okay, there's no going back from this now. I've got to finish it. Now I'm removing the padding that was underneath the carpet. The carpet is out, and whatever was underneath that carpet is also out. I've got this thing here around the room. It's carpet gripper, so there's a bunch of nails that are sticking out of it. Super dangerous, actually. So I'm gonna remove all that, and I'm also gonna remove all these little nails that was holding down the whatever was under the carpet to make the surface super nice and smooth. So let's go. I removed all the carpet gripper. My god, there's a lot of nails on this thing. I've removed all the nails from the floor. I've cleaned it up, I vacuumed it, I wiped it, I screwed all the screws that weren't entirely in, and I think I am sort of ready. I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna bring some of that floor in, get it out of the boxes, and try and mix and match the first few rows to make a pattern. So I've seen somewhere a tip to use the external wall as your starting point because it's supposed to be the starting wall in the room. As you can see, there's already a few pieces of wood on the floor. What I'm doing at this point is just opening multiple boxes to try and create a natural looking pattern. I had to remove and throw away my socks because I destroyed them with all the nails. Pattern matching done, sort of, right? So I've only done the first line. Let me show you guys. You're trying to sort of like color, I suppose, and like make sure there's different sizes. I need to be careful with is the gap around the floor. So you are supposed to leave a gap of around 10 mils around the floor so it can expand. But the problem, well, it's not a big problem, but there's something I'm seeing that I don't really like. So if you can look at the normal floorboard, I don't know if these are called boards or something, whatever. So they've got this tongue here. And if you are counting 10 mils from this tongue, then at the top you're gonna have a 1.5 centimeter gap, so about 15 mils, which I don't really like because that's a big gap. So what I'm gonna try and do is try and cut this tongue, for the first line. I've kind of tried it already, and so you can see this one, it actually turned out really nice, it's very flat, which means now the gap is actually gonna be 10 mils instead of 15. And there's ways to cover that up. You'll see how I'm gonna do that towards the end of this video. But yeah, I've cut myself a table saw as well. I'm gonna put some B-roll right now so you can see me cutting the very first floorboard. All right, it's time to do the first one. I'm a bit terrified. I haven't done it before, but I've got my tools, so I should be able to do it. It doesn't look too hard on the surface. Well, I guess we'll find out right about now. Ooh, it's super sticky. Oh wow. Of course I'm already covered in it. Come on. There must be an easier way to do this instead of sticking my hand in it. Oh god, I've got to clean myself up. I can't do this like that and figure out another way to load this. Now I'm installing the very first piece, making sure that there's a 1 centimeter gap on each side. First one in. Let's go. I continue by adding the pieces one by one, making sure that there is no gaps between them and also that there is a very good glue coverage. I'm in a pickle. I've actually made decent progress, look. I've got about 4 rows and I was moving quite fast. I was gaining momentum until I arrived at the door. So here's the problem. Around the floor there's a gap, as I explained before. This is going to be covered by something called beading. Now the problem is that that thing is straight, so it's gonna go sort of like this. But obviously then you've got the door frame, which isn't straight and it's got this sort of angle. Now I could cut the floor to this shape and make it closer. The problem is you need 1 centimeter gap. So even if I do that, I still need that 1 centimeter gap and I can't fill it with silicone or something like that. It's just too big of a gap. So that's not an option. Ideally, what you would do is cut the door frame. So you create space under the door frame to push the floor in. There's still going to be 1 centimeter of space underneath because the door frame is supposed to be quite thick, but the door frame itself is going to cover the wood. But I don't have, so ideally you would do this with something called an oscillating tool. It's called and cut it nicely. I haven't got that and I'm not going to buy it just for this door. The other solution is use one of these guys, but obviously it's a lot less accurate, so it's much more risky. What am I supposed to do? I think we all know that I'm just gonna send it. I'm using a piece of flooring upside down to guide the handsaw so I can be as precise as I can possibly be using my hands. Once I made the line using the handsaw, I'm using my chisel to deepen the hole. Right, that wasn't anywhere near as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Like, it wasn't easy, don't get me wrong. I think I might have assumed it was gonna be terribly difficult, and it was difficult, but not terribly difficult, so I'm happy with that. Look, the gap is actually very good. Look, I managed to stop exactly where I wanted to stop. So here's the idea, more or less. This is gonna come and sit under that, just like this. Well, a bit more in actually, but something like this. And there's still plenty of room, as you can see inside, for that wood to expand. And then over on this side, when we've got this transition strip, which is gonna sit right there and cover it nicely. And I've cut the other door as well. Look, let me position this so you can see. So similarly, they were gonna do that. It's gonna be nice and hidden under the door. And again, the transition strip is gonna go right here, same as the other side. And nobody's gonna say a thing. Once I was done with the door, I continued working on the flooring. This actually took a couple of days and eventually I ran into a problem. I've run into a bit of a problem. I've run out of glue, basically. And I only have like 3 left. Look, so it's just this little gap right here. Glue should arrive later today, but it can arrive at like 6 o'clock. So in the meantime, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to install the bidding. I'm going to move some of the furniture back in. There's some little tweaks and improvements I want to make to the furniture as well, which I will obviously film for you guys. But started cutting the bidding, which is nowhere near as hard as coving. As you've seen my last video, you know what I mean. So I'm gonna show you that right now on the screen. And this is what I've sort of ended up with so far. So just one corner. Look at that. So bidding essentially sits on top of the gap. So the expansion gap we left around the floor, this is gonna sit right there on top. You don't glue it on the floor, because obviously you want the floor to expand. You glue it on the skirtings. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna cut all the bidding for the entire room, and then I'm gonna glue it just to make sure it's all fixed together. Well, not the entire room, right? I can't do that side, which I haven't got the floor installed yet, but everything else I should be able to do. And then I should be able to move some of the furniture back in so I can finally sleep in my own bed. Right, so I've cut all the bidding pieces. It was really hard to film, so I didn't. But honestly, it was kind of easy, way easier than coving it. I keep talking about it, but watch my last video if you're wondering why. So my advice is, let me just show you actually, it's gonna be much easier, is put your bidding on the floor and make a mark with your pen or a pencil. So basically, if it's an external corner, it's going to be coming out a little bit, and if it's an internal corner, then obviously it's exact opposite. Quite easy. Just use your miter box, 45 degrees. It should be all done. So in situations like this, when you've got like a door or something, so you've got to end it, you can either leave it, which is what I did initially, but then I thought to myself, okay, let's challenge. And I have cut it 45 degrees, so assume there's a 90-degree external corner here. So you cut your main piece, and then you've got to plug it in with something like this, like a small piece, and essentially it creates that corner, which is really nice. The easiest way to think about it is a 90-degree external corner. You just need to be careful so that your small piece is basically exactly the width of the bidding, so they can fit together nicely. I would actually advise you to do the entire room first before you do this. What's happening with my camera? Before you do those small pieces, and that way you will probably have a lot of those tiny leftovers, which is what I had. So we won't have to cut them. You'll just have to prepare the main pieces around the doors and finish that off. So now I'm ready to glue the bidding onto skirtings. I've actually done one already because my microphone ran out of battery, and while that was charging, I've done one. It's supported by stuff because this piece was completely crooked. It wasn't straight at all. But anyway, so what you've got to remember, you've got to mark your bidding. Mark the top because you're gluing them on the skirting. You're not gluing them to the floor. And when you're adding the adhesive, you need to remember which side are you supposed to be adding it on. And once you've done that, you add the adhesive, you put it on the wall. Continue until you're done. You're probably wondering why I've got these pieces of paper everywhere. It's because I put them wherever there's like a connection between two different pieces, because there's gonna be adhesive going in front and probably on the floor, and I want to keep my floor very clean. So I've put the paper there to protect it. Right, now let's keep adding adhesive to the other pieces, gluing them up, and then there's gonna be some cleaning to do. Biddings are in, let me show you. I spent like half an hour cleaning, but turned out very nice. Look, the corners are very nice. And it actually contrasts the floors so nicely. Obviously white color and dark color, fantastic. Look, this side corners, there's little pieces over here, also very good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Obviously, I've only came up to here because then I still have some floor to do, so I can finish it. And I think next thing I'm gonna do is add the transition between this bedroom and the bathroom. So let me show you a bit more closely again. I bought this transition strip a while ago. It's got adhesive underneath, so basically just stick it on. All I need to do is cut it to size and cut the shape of the door a little bit. I've already kind of practiced here a bit, so it's gonna go in like that. So I need to cut it a little bit more precisely, and then that should be that.
And here I am, like modern day Michelangelo, using my Stanley knife to shape this transition strip into something absolutely beautiful.
I've finished with the transition strip in the bathroom. I've also moved some of the furniture in the room, which you guys can't see it, but anyway, there's a lot of finishing touches. Obviously, I still need to do the room, so it sounds kind of weird saying that I'm doing finishing touches, but what can I do? I haven't got the glue yet. So at the moment, I'm installing this light, and the only step left is to screw this up to the wall. In theory, it's easy. Put the colors together, boom, everything works. Unless, of course, it doesn't. So let's see. This light looks awesome. Just what this room needs. 1, 2, 3. Yay! Oh my goodness. Nice. Works. I had to shorten the cable as well. So it's good to see that it actually works. Right, on to the next steps. Finishing touch number 2. I'm gonna replace these plastic knobs with nice wooden ones so they go with the floor. Oh, this is beautiful. You never think that things like this make a big difference, but they make a huge difference. I'm always surprised. I don't know about you guys. I've got a lot of them to replace. Oh, these are beautiful. Wow. Let's do the rest. I finished installing all the knobs and handles, and now it's sort of time to move on with the floor because the glue has arrived. And actually, I've been taking some measurements already. Look at this corner. So mine is not glued, but I'm just trying to take measurements because I've got to cut this piece. It's going to be about 5 centimeters wide. But the other challenge I've got is obviously the door right here. So I've got to cut the door a little bit. I've done some measurements. I've put 3 pieces down and it comes around here. So I need to cut this door by about a centimeter so that piece slides in, same as we've done on the other door. Then I'm going to link this floor to the carpet using this transition strip. So yeah, time to start cutting.
Same as I've done on the other door, I'm using my handsaw to make a line, and then I'm using my chisel to make it deeper.
So I was trying to cut the transition strip for this door and I cut it completely wrong. I cut it 10 centimeters short. Complete idiot. And I haven't got another one. So I've ordered one now. In the meantime, as I said earlier, the glue is here and I've got the doors as you saw me do previously. So basically I am free to finish this floor and then I'm gonna deal with this transition once I've got the actual strip. Right, the floor is finally done. Well, almost. I've got to install the last pieces of bedding on this half of the room, and then I can bring the remaining furniture and add the finishing touches before the final reveal.
In the exact same way as before, I'm using adhesive to install the bedding I previously cut on the other side of the room before I add a new door stopper, new door handles and a new curtain.
The room is almost ready, but before I show you guys the final result, let me talk about the cost. There were 3 main costs in this build. So first one was obviously the flooring itself, and that was £414. The second one was the glue. This was a big surprise to me actually, but 8 kilos of glue, that was 67 pounds, and I actually needed 2 of them. Well, to be completely honest, I needed 3 because I let one of them go to waste, but that was completely my fault. And the third cost, that was the bidding. That was about 63 pounds together with shipping. So all in about 610 pounds. And I think it was worth every single penny. But now it's time to judge for yourself. So what do you guys think? This was my favorite build by far, no question. In the next video, I'm taking a completely new direction, trying something I've never done before, so stay tuned for that. But thank you so much for watching today. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you the next time. Take care.